everywhere I looked and turned, the Lord saying break up with him. Every sermon, do it.
It's your love, it's love, it's your love, it's love, it's your love, it's your love that's keeping me. It's your love, it's love, it's your love, it's love, it's your love, it's your love.
Hey, welcome back. Welcome back. For those who are new, hey. For those who are returning, hey. It's your girl Morgan McHale. And I'm gonna just start by saying this. If you have not watched the first part of the series, then you should go back and watch the episode and then come back here. Because baby, this episode, I'm about to be spilling tea. I'm telling you all my business, but my prayer is that it will help you, it would encourage you, that you'll grow from it, that you'll interact with me inside the comments. Let me know if this bless you. Let me know if this helped you in any way, shape, or form, whatever case may be. I'm not gonna talk your ear off about that, but listen, and if you haven't already done so, if I ain't said it again, subscribe. Okay, so this is episode 2, and I realized in the first one I kind of like chopped some things up and I missed out on some things, so I'm gonna like double back a little bit on it and then come forward. So here's to y'all. Now, me and my husband met, but remember, I was so used to broken that I was like, nah, I'm cool, like nope. But when he came into my life, like I said, we started our foundation on friendship. And so by this time, I'm like, I'm being very intentional this time. I'm like, Lord, like, you got to lead this thing. You got to lead me through this thing because I'm so tired of being heartbroken. I just can't do it no more, right? And so what ended up happening is me and my now husband, we developed a friendship. That was our foundation. Great foundation. He used to come over my house. We used to do Bible study together. We were just very intentional. We even I remember we went to Barnes & Noble just one time and we found books that were about godly relationships and we read them. And he was reading a book on basically like, I don't know if it was like how to be a husband or like a better man. And I was reading a book on, godly courting, like, cause I wanted to be so intentional with this relationship. I'm like, yo, this is my last relationship, B. Like, I'm not doing it again. Like, no. So that's just what we were doing. But prior to us actually like really coming together and like dating, me and my husband, he actually ended up getting saved on my living room floor. And that's something that I don't talk about too much. I allow him to share that part. But one time I was praying at home and he happened to come over and he was like, yeah, I'm about to go take a nap. And I'm like, whatever. I was making food. Cause he was like, I'm taking a nap while the food cooking. I'm like, cool, whatever. Like, do you, boo. So I'm in the kitchen, I'm making food. And then I was like, I just feel led to pray. And so I began to pray. I'm sitting on my living room floor, crisscross applesauce, like, and I just started praying. And I kid you not, y'all. And at this time, I didn't really hear God like I hear God now. So I didn't hear God, but I heard him. And I was like, excuse me? So I'm sitting there praying. And the Lord was like, go pray with your husband. I said, husband? Ha! If you know, in my first video, I talked about how, like, I never, like, me and marriage, like, it was a thought. But I was like, I'm cool. I got up so quick off that floor, baby. Baby, you couldn't have told me to get up. But I was off the floor so quick, I was already in the kitchen. And then I fell. I hit my head on the wall and I fell. And I was like, oh, you was for real. So I was like, all right. So I went inside the room and my man's was actually in the room reading the Bible when he said he was about to take a nap. And when I tell y'all that night we prayed together, I had never prayed like that with somebody before. When I say never prayed like that with somebody before, never in my life, like no type of partner, no nothing. And it was just, we were in the spirit for a minute. Like we were just laid out in the spirit. It was just so powerful. I had never experienced that with somebody before. So that just solidified that I heard the Lord say, go pray with your husband. But even when I heard him say that to me, God didn't release me to say it to him. Pick up what I'm putting down, okay? Sometimes one thing that I've learned in marriage, and I'll talk more about this in the next video, like transition into marriage, is that most of the time, my women, the Lord lets us in on things before, he lets the man in on things. I mean, sometimes it's different. It depends on what the situation is. But that was one of the things that the Lord was like, don't say nothing to him about it. Like, let God work, but I'm putting you hip to this, right? And so God had told me this was my husband, but I didn't jump the gun and go run and tell him because honestly, just the space that he was in, I probably would have ran that man away. 100% like, oh, here she go, this crazy Christian girl talking about her husband. And baby, I didn't go searching for him. You feel me? So I was just like, I'm all right. I hear what you're saying, Lord, but I'm gonna just keep it pushing. And so what ended up happening is like, we dating, we doing our little thug things, you feel me? And a situation happened where he had to get out of his living situation. And so he was kind of like displaced. And I'm all like, I'm not about to like let my man just live on the street. Like, he don't got nowhere to go. He not even from this state, bro. Like, he could come live with me. Here's my thinking before the saints and ain'ts try to jump down my throat. Mind you, I was like a babe in Christ. I loved God, I served, but I was new to the game, right? And so I'm not about to let my man live on the street. You could come live with me. You could sleep on a full time with the wood. Because mind you, I kept saying, like, I want this to be like godly. I want this to be like this. And so in that time of him moving in with me, everything was cool at first. Kids at first, okay? It was real cool, like, my man. Like, you know what I mean? But then when you start to live with somebody, you start to see them. You start to really see them. And you see them. And, yeah, it was enough for me, dog. Okay, it didn't, like, go that fast. But essentially, like, everything was cool at first. And then you start slipping up. That's why I always said, the word says, don't let your good be evil spoken of, right? And in that scripture really talks about how if you are doing the right thing in X, Y, and Z, don't put yourself in compromising situations for people to even think that you're doing something that's not of God, right? And so in that situation, I put myself in a situation, I'm like, we're not doing nothing, we just living together. But why? It's like a gateway into sin. And so I started to see my husband true colors. And baby, I was not the biggest fan. I was like, now God. And I still loved him too, which was so crazy. Like, I had like this, it was a love that I couldn't really explain. And I still probably to this day can't. Like, even thinking about it makes me warm. It was just a connection that we shared. And so with that, we lived together and it became toxic. It became very toxic. Communication became like, yikes. And ultimately, I ended up breaking up with him, right? But I broke up with him at that time because I was listening to people, and I was listening to people that I shouldn't have been listening to. I'm gonna tell you it. I told you I'm spilling tea. I was listening to what people thought about him, and what he had going. Like, the opinions of my friends and my family mean a lot to me, especially my mom's, right? And at that time, like, some people don't have the vision that the Lord is giving you. And so it's very important that you protect the vision that God is giving you versus sharing it with everybody, and allowing people into your ear gates, right? And when I speak about ear gates, I'm going to move into what I was talking about. I was listening to City Girls. Back then, City Girls was up and popping, new, you feel me? Like, I was City's girl from the 305, like, me and my friends. So, for the saints and aides who's about to judge me for saying that, I was still in this space of learning my true identity, right? And I don't think I fully embraced that until 2019. But I was still in a place of learning my true identity. I was trying to have my cake and eat it too. I was trying to serve the Lord and serve his people, but still wanted to be looked upon by my friends, you know, and having those relationships. And so I was in the world, off the world. I'm gonna be real, right? And so I was listening to City Girls. I kid you not, I listened to that album every single day. And next thing you know, I'm breaking up with my man. I'm acting crazy. And then I kid you not, I was driving on the freeway. I was driving on 696 actually. And I heard it's because of what you're listening to. Y'all, I turned on gospel music so fast and I stopped listening to it right then and there. And I seen a change in my behavior. I'm sharing this because of what you listen to and who you listen to will impact you. And so you have to make sure that you surrounding yourself with people who see who you are from the stance of God's eyes, right? But then also what you listening to. And so that's my little tidbit on that. But I was listening to Crazy, so I broke up with this man. He ain't even did nothing wrong. I just broke up with him, right? But it came to this time, fast forward, where things kind of got a little rough. It started getting more rough than like usual. Like I said, communication was piss poor. He was just irritating me. Like his presence just irritated me. He'll probably watch this and be like, dang. But his presence did irritate me. I was just like, bro, I'm so tired of like, because me and my husband had different personalities. Like as you can tell, I am extroverted. I'm like, what's up? Let's talk about it. Let's do this. But the way that he grew up was different than me. And I noticed this with a lot of men, actually. And as you grow in your relationship with God, as you grow in your relationship with your partner, when you get a partner, you'll learn this, that men communicate differently than women. Some women are like, I want to talk about it right now. Let's come on. And then some men is like, most men, honestly, they have to take time to process things. And so where you're looking for the 10-page letter right after you say what you have to say, and they just say, okay, you're like, dang, like they reject me. No, they just really genuinely need time to process what's happening. And so I didn't know that. I didn't learn all this stuff until later on. So I'm like, yeah, bro, you don't know how to communicate. You don't know how to do this. Like, I'm cool on you. Like, got a blast. And I still was like, nah, this is my man. Like, the Lord said it's my husband. I'm keeping it cool. I'm going to stay. Mind you, we're still living together. But by this time, we're not sinning or anything like that. Like, I'm like, nah, I'm straight. I'm cool. And I kid y'all not, I cannot make this up. Like, I ain't lying. Everywhere I looked and turned, the Lord saying, break up with him. Every sermon, do it. Like, leave. And so I'm going back to God. I'm like, Lord, like, so I finally went back to him and I asked him, like, God, like, what's up? And I'm like, God, you said this is my husband, but you're telling me to break up with him? What? Like, that don't even make sense. And God literally told me, like, he had to separate us to heal us and bring us back together. And that was one of the hardest conversations that I had with him. I kid you not. I remember sitting there and I had tears in my eyes, welling in my eyes. And like, he started crying but we knew. And it was so much peace that came with it because it took me so long to do it. But it came with so much peace because he understood. And that's how I knew that it was the Lord's doing. Because now, all the time, when the Lord sends you to do some stuff, everybody ain't gonna understand. You feel me? They might get mad, angry, stuff like that. But I believe that the Lord softened his heart for that time, for him to understand where I was coming from and what I was saying. And so the Lord told us to break up. And we broke up. We parted ways. You feel me? And he ended up moving out. That whole thing was crazy. But he ended up moving out. And I was just like, you know what, Lord? Like, I had to really come into agreement with, if you say this is the person for me, then I will wait on you. I'm not waiting on him. I'm waiting on you. I'm waiting on you. God, you said to me, because it wasn't like I went looking. You told me this. And so I'm going to hold this promise in my heart. And I'm going to believe what you say versus what I see and how things are. And so even when we broke up, we didn't talk to each other. It was about 6 months, 7 months, something like that. And we didn't talk to each other. Like, I don't even think I seen him that much. I didn't even see that man that much, okay? Like, and we went to the same institution. I just, like, got a blast. And so, when we ended up coming back together, but prior to that, let me say this. I started to question, like, was this the person that God had for me? But when I go back to the first episode, right? When I looked at his character, I'm a holding on character every time. Did he possess the fruit of the Spirit? When I looked at who he was, and one thing that God revealed to me about this man was he was somebody that was after his heart. And one thing you have to notice, if you find somebody with a good heart, you can do so much. When God got their ear, even at that time, like, my husband was still growing in the Lord. Like, he's a total transformed person now, but God had his ear even back then, okay? So when God got your ear, he can do a lot with you. and he had my husband's ear. So even when we broke up, like, he wasn't talking to nobody and stuff like that. Like, we focused. You feel me? And I had to really like come to terms with, okay, Lord, this is your promise to me. So as you see, like, we're married now, we have 2 beautiful children, but during that time it was hard. And so if you find yourself in a situation where God is saying, like, I don't know if God said this to you, but if you found this video and he has said that to you, like, this is your husband, allow God to do the work. Like, a lot of times what's happening is us women, we, like I said, we got this savior complex, right? And we are like, I'm gonna take you with me, but there is a perfection that the Lord has to do in his son, right? There's a purification that the Lord has to do in his son, and you have to trust God enough to know that if God said that this is your promise, that he will walk you through that thing. You have to take your hands off of it. And even for somebody who is married and who may be having trouble inside of their marriage, like, you have to take your hand off of that thing, because before he is your husband, before he's the father of your children, he is God's son. And so you have to trust and know that God knows what to do with his son. And however God says to do it, you have to trust in that way. And I promise you, if you do it the way that God tells you to do it, the restoration of him will be so much greater. And I can personally say, I'm happy that I obeyed God, because my husband's not the same man that he was. I'm not the same woman that I was. But the way that God brought that thing back together and how he fulfilled his promise to us, that should be a video within itself. Y'all should let me know in the comments, like, if y'all want this testimony on how my wedding was, like, paid for. God told me my wedding dress would be free, and it was definitely free, brand new, never been worn, never been touched, really. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, God did that. I couldn't have done that. So if this video has blessed you, please share this. Please like it. Comment, because I like to interact with y'all. And then I will be doing a part 3, which talks about me and my man, but getting into the getting married portion and that testimony alone. And I might have a special guest. Who knows? So thank y'all for listening.